Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode here of In the Zone. I'm Giancarlo Aulino, joined here with Chris Martelli, Anthony Pagniello on the IR for now. Maybe we'll hear from him later on, or he might have to be LTIR for next week. But Chris, you got to kick this off with some big news here in the NHL. Big milestone here. Auston Matthews, once again, 40 goals. He's tearing it up. He did it in 53 games this time. And he looks like he's going to be on pace here for over 60 goals this year in a full year. So what do you make of this? And should we just be handing him the Rocket Richard trophy right now?
Yeah, it's that simple. I was talking to you before that we just went live right now, and Chris Kreider, he's having a terrific season. This is a player I never thought would eclipse 35 goals. He's already at that in about 55, but the top guys that have been in the top three in scoring have relatively calmed down. Ovechkin, obviously, the guy's 36, 37. That's just not attainable. I remember me, you, and Pagniello, this was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I remember when the first time it was the injured riddled season, Matthews had like 36 and 62 or something. I said, give Matthews another year and he will take over Ovi's throne as the Rocket favorite every year. And man, we're witnessing it now. Last year, 40 and 51. This year, 43 and 54. I mean, there's not a lot of words to describe it. Dominance is the main word that comes to mind. I mentioned to you, Aulino, a couple times on this pod that I think he is arguably the greatest even strength scorer of all time that I've ever seen. And, you could say what you want about sometimes his work ethic isn't there, but what we've seen this year with his 200-foot game, it's amazing how much he's transformed into a two-way forward because – we give players that have that offensive firepower the benefit of the doubt sometimes at playing defense, like the McDavids, like the Marners, like the Patrick Kanes. But Matthews, man, he's elevated his game to a whole another level. I know he's even gotten Selke voting this year. So, I mean, Rocket Richard for sure. I think Matthews is taking it. I guess I could ask you this question because you asked me, do you think he's getting the Rocket? I think Rocket is for certain. The last player to get 60 goals was Steven Stamkos in 2011. Is it certain that he gets 60 at this point, or do you maybe see him getting maybe around like 57? Because I think 60, maybe not certain, but I'll say about 70% chance.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he can obviously go on another slump. It's going to happen with all these guys. We've seen it with Ovi too in the past when he's had 50 goal years, but I just think the way this team's shaping up right now, especially going into the deadline, if they add some more playmaking on that first line to help him out on the power play, I think he might get to 60 like right on. I know some people are saying maybe he's going to get over like 65, but I think put the brakes on that first. Let's get to 50, and then I think that's an attainable goal. But I think 60 right on, maybe 61, but I think it's 70%. I'm with you there. And even the Selke, too, like you're looking at the way he plays back and joins on the rush, then defends. I think he could even get that one. So, like, he's in the running there for 2 awards that could be like for certain. But the Hart Trophy is another one I'm seeing a lot more chatter about him getting some consideration on. Like, this is an award that obviously, like, McDavid's always winning. Dreisaitl's won, and they've been going back and forth with that. This year's kind of different. Like Shesterkin's having an unbelievable year on the Rangers. Huberdeau's having a good year. But like, do you think Matthews, is it like crazy to think that Matthews could win the Hart, the Selke, and the Rocket Richard in 1 year?
I mean, dude, honestly, it sounds far-fetched. I see it happening. I'm not going to lie. I'm a Leaf fan. Maybe that's a little bit biased talk, but Shesterkin, I think with goalies, it's very hard to win a Hart Trophy. I know he has a 942 save, which is that's bonkers. He's not going to attain that. He makes the Rangers a great team. When Georgiev's in net, they're a good team, not necessarily a great team, but when Shesterkin's there, the Rangers are arguably maybe not playoff, not a Stanley Cup contenders, but I want to say the tier below that. And it's funny to say because 2 years ago we were saying they're potentially in a retool mode. So that was fast. Adam Fox is a gem. Panarin's a gem. We all know how good the Rangers are. But in terms of the Leafs, you talk about the narrative of failure a lot. And this would just be just a bright light on this franchise. Seeing Auston Matthews just shut all the critics up, because I've seen so many people on the internet, and I know it's just the internet. A lot of people have opinions, but a lot of people are still saying he's not a top 10 player. And to me now, that's ridiculous, man. Like he he hasn't gotten, so he has gotten over 35 goals in under 75 games with ease the last 4 years, with ease. He had 47 goals in 70 games in 2019. Last year, 41 and 52. And this year, 43 and 54. The dude's a 40 goal scorer in under 75 games. So, like, dude, he is the best goal scorer in the league. Maybe not the best leader. Whoop-de-doo. You know, we have Riley. To me, he's always been our captain. John Tavares is a great leader as well. But in terms of the Hart Trophy, man, 75 and 54 this year, the improved defensive play. Obviously, we're seeing results, because when Matthews and Marner score and when that line is going, it's basically a secured win. And when they're not going, that's a whole other story. But it's just so big. I'll ask you this too, because we all know that Campbell, I just got the news today that he's now out he's week to week with injured ribs. We do not understand how important Matthews is to this team, at least the last 2 months. If this guy does not go on the run he's gone on, we're arguably tied with Boston in the wild card. So Matthews and Marner, man, they've been on a different level since the calendar changed to 2022. Jack Campbell can't say the same. But when you think of, in terms of value to his team, Auston Matthews, just like the McDavids, just like the Hubertos, just like the Shesterkins, yeah, he's top tier.
Do you think Mrazek now is going to open the door for him? If he has one big game, do you think he takes advantage of this opportunity and takes that job that I'm sure like Dubas and Shanahan, when they brought him in the offseason, thought he would do, and have him for the next year? Or do you think he's just going to mess this all up and we'll probably see him get traded for like a Marc-Andre Fleury at the deadline?
See, like, I don't know. I remember when he first came to the team, and, you know, we comfortably knew in advance that Anderson was leaving. I thought it would always be a 1A, 1B. I never really, it's not that I didn't have confidence in Jack Campbell. It's just his numbers were too good to be true. At least last year, he went, 23-1, something like that, 20
crazy
wins. Yeah, it was a crazy run for him. And, you know, you sign a guy like Mrazek, who he's dealt with a lot of injuries the last couple of years. And I remember me and you did that fantasy pool. We were at York. That was maybe 2015. And remember when Mrazek was a hotshot 22-year-old in Detroit? The guy looked amazing. I know some of the saves that guy makes is just Marc-Andre Fleury like. But oh man, I don't know with Mrazek. He's so up and down this year. I know our defense is not the greatest with Sandy and Liljegren. Still, they have a lot to learn. But that's a really tough question. What do you think? I still think they're trying to get rid of him, honestly.
Yeah, I think they are. Unfortunately, like they signed him to like a big deal. I think they had maybe hopes, like let's say Campbell doesn't work out. I think they had maybe Mrazek as a certainty in net. Like maybe he's going to be solid, but as soon as Campbell started slumping and Mrazek was slumping, I think now they're panicking a little bit. So I think Mrazek's going to be the one to go because he has the deal. They can bury it on another team, and maybe they get a veteran back. I think Fleury would be a little risky because like once he comes back, then he's going to demand a lot. So they got to watch out who they get. It's going to come down to right fit. Maybe it's a veteran who's at the end of their career or a veteran backup that they can just throw some starts to. Maybe a James Reimer comes back, but I think we're in for an interesting time here because these two goalies who everyone thought would be like pretty okay together, it's panic mode now. But would you like Reimer back if they trade Mrazek to San Jose?
I know Pagniello would definitely say hell no, but I'll say hell yeah. I love James Reimer, the narrative. He's 33, 34. He has his good stretches in San Jose. And San Jose, man, oh my God, they need to do something different. I think they're going to ship out Hurdle. I know in the media they keep saying they're trying to make it work. I don't buy that. I think Hurdle's done. He's been there for 10 years now. So I think he's gonna get traded. Reimer, to me, the interesting goalie to me that's available is Varlamov. I think he's a guy like the Islanders are basically confirming that their season's over. They're what, like 10 points behind Boston, maybe even more than that. So I've heard on numerous radio stations, man, that the East is basically set in stone. The top 8 teams are locked. I think if you go out and you offer something that's intriguing, maybe you have to ship out something that's not as desirable that Dubas wants to give up. Maybe he has to bite his tongue if he wants a Varlamov, like a Kerfoot, maybe a guy. It's crazy to say, maybe a Nick Robertson. I don't know, because Varlamov, he has a no trade clause and he's been stern about staying. I know Colorado has kicked tires with Varlamov, but if not James Reimer, which would be a hell of a narrative, and my cousin Steve could wear the old Optimus Ryan mask on his videos, I think that would be absolutely hilarious. But I'll say it's between if Mrazek gets dealt and the goaltending woes continue. Like Aulino, we talk about this every single goddamn year. When it comes to free agency or trade deadline, the Leafs they blow it out of proportion. Remember when we were linked to get Subban and Stamkos? Like now, I'm hearing Fleury. I don't see Fleury coming here. I don't think that would be good for his mindset for anything. So I say a goalie that doesn't really have a lot to lose. Maybe Varlamov, maybe Reimer, but that's about it, man. There's not a lot of goalies out there that I think are open to getting dealt at the moment. But of course, maybe let's go out and get David Rittich again because we did have him for like 10 games. That'd be funny.
Can you imagine? Like, I'm surprised at NHL they don't do this with their players, but like PK Subban's on the last year of his deal, and it doesn't look like anyone's going to take that contract. So why don't they just buy him out, make Subban a free agent? He signs with the Leafs on a minimum 700K. Everybody gets what they want. He comes in, let's say he has a good playoff run, can get like a $2 million contract next year. Like, are you surprised that NHL players and teams don't go and get that model from the NBA to maybe change your veterans or give them a chance to win?
I think that's one of the best things that I've ever heard. Holy crap. Yeah, they should definitely do that. I know it's a different league, different rules, different regulations, different CBA, but yeah, I agree with that. If a veteran is not necessarily thriving and you know that the contract is a lot, why can't you just buy it out and have them hit restart? Like it should have happened with guys like Weber. It should have happened with guys like Kessel. The list goes on, but in terms of Subban specifically, since he got traded from Nashville, which at the time he was coming off a 60-point year in Nashville. I don't know why they dealt him, but the return was pretty harsh. I don't think Nashville nearly got enough at the time, but now obviously you see what Subban, they call him Sluban now, which to me it's still an insult. He's way too good of a player for his legacy to be known as PK Sluban. He donated $10 million freaking dollars to Montreal, and then they had the nerve to trade him. He's had to go through a lot of hurdles in his careers, but in terms of the buyout option, they absolutely have to do it. The only problem is with teams like Tampa Bay, teams like Florida that they don't have taxes and they always have that financial benefit. That's the only thing that would probably slow the process down. But other than that, Aulino, I love that. I love that option. I think the NHL, Gary Bettman, I think he has to start looking into that because not only would it make the league more entertaining, like we mentioned, remember what we said about press conferences, how they're always robotic. They don't really have a personality. Oh, yeah. I think they need to maybe cut the script a bit. They already cut the dress code, so maybe it's a start. Maybe they're going in that direction. But yeah, dude, I love that buyout option. I think the NHL definitely has to go with that.
Yeah, and it would make like another free agent frenzy right after the deadline. You can have the waiver free agent period where you have a week to sign like whoever. So I think it would add some fun. Like Subban's a guy, I think his contract was front loaded, so he's probably making like maybe 3 million, 2 million the most right now in salary. Just his cap hits high. So New Jersey wouldn't have to give out too much. Like Kessel is another one. Like if Arizona, I don't even know if they can afford a sandwich, but if they can afford to buy out Kessel. Like let's bring Phil back. Reimer. Like I think this is something where if a team gives like a seventh rounder, they can have a negotiation period first. So they buy out the player, then after the Leafs or Tampa, whoever can then talk to them first. So they gotta look into that. But that's all for NHL here. And there was some big news going on over on Monday that got everybody talking, all the hardcore wrestling fans. Stone Cold Steve Austin was challenged by Kevin Owens. He was invited to WrestleMania. And on Tuesday afternoon, Stone Cold goes on Twitter and he's got himself a show now. He's going to be going to WrestleMania with Kevin Owens for the KO show. Don't know if it's going to be a match, but it's definitely going to be a fight. What are your thoughts on Stone Cold being confirmed for WrestleMania?
Mixed bag. I love it and I don't at the same time because we've been talking about benefiting superstars, and the one guy to me specifically that this hurts more than anybody is Seth Rollins. I don't know who he's facing. I don't know the situation, but in terms of Stone Cold coming back, that's absolutely monstrous. Just talking about the nostalgia part of it, that's the beauty of this. I haven't seen Stone Cold in a wrestling ring, at least that I can remember, since WrestleMania 30. I know he's done those Raws, the anniversary Raws and that, but I don't really count that. That's not grand enough. We're this is WrestleMania, for God's sake. So, yeah, dude, like it's been 8 years the last time I can remember seeing him in the ring in front of like 60 plus thousand. So it's going to be huge regardless what happens. I'm very happy for Kevin Owens because over the years, he had that long Universal title run in 2016. Looked like he could be the face of the company, maybe share it with guys like Seth and Roman down the line. But, they never really ran the ball with him after that. I know he had that unreal. You remember that feud with John Cena, how great that was. That was something else. That was outstanding. He flourished in NXT, and now he has his moment at WrestleMania. This is potentially his biggest moment in his WWE career, as crazy as that sounds, sharing the ring with Stone Cold. I don't know what to really make of it. Aulino, I guess I'll ask you, do you see it being a match? Have you heard anything? Or is this just, you think, going to be like a segment? Either way, I'm very excited.
Yeah, when they first, it was weird. It was confusing on Monday because Kevin Owens said the KO show, and then Corey Graves right away. He's like saying 19 years or something, and he's been out of the ring, and then it got people thinking like, wait, is it a match? Like, is it just a segment? So I don't even know if they even know yet. Like, I know that he's gonna be there, but like maybe they're still talking about if it's a match, like how would it go, like who would go over and what moment, like would Austin be having like any offense against them? Would he be able to take a bump? Like I think they're just working on that kind of stuff and seeing if he can do that. If not, I think this is just going to be a fun little brawl. Maybe they'll go around the arena or the stadium there. Maybe they'll go outside and make a cinematic thing out of it, like they did with Stone Cold and Booker T on that SmackDown. Austin chasing him around, but I think this is going to be a highlight of the weekend. It's going to probably be something where it doesn't have to be an actual match, but it's going to go from one night to the other. I think Austin's going to get his hands on them. They'll be in different areas. Maybe we'll see JBL, HBK, Booker T get involved because KO was talking about them. Like how he went out the challenge. He made it out and he said, yeah, Shawn Michaels, no, out of respect for Bret Hart. We're not doing business with him. So I like how he brought those guys up, but I think those guys might even be involved, kind of like when Randy Orton was doing his thing with the Legends. So I think Kevin Owens is going to win regardless because he's in a big program with all these Hall of Famers at WrestleMania.
Do you see him sharing the ring with those three guys specifically? You see Brad and Stone Cold and Sean coming out? Like that's going to be the three, kind of like at 30 we had Hogan, Stone Cold, The Rock. Because, dude, if I see that Stone Cold, Shawn, and Brett in the same ring in 2022, all on good terms, I mean, then I would have probably seen it all. Like that, I never would assume what I would see. But you think it'd be those three?
Yeah, it'd be interesting if Bret Hart comes out, teases with Kevin Owens, and like Stone Cold's in the ring with HBK, and it looks like, oh, Bret's gonna just take Kevin Owens side, just deck him, and then they all hit their finisher on him. HBK gives him a sweet chin music, and then Austin stunners, and him, Bret, and Shawn Michaels can celebrate. But I think they might just do something different with Bret if he's involved, like something probably with the Hall of Fame, or maybe JBL is gonna hit a clothesline on KO with that grin on his face like he did in the past. But I think KO is gonna, hopefully this is gonna lead to something bigger. I think the rub that he's gonna get going over here with all these legends is gonna be leading to a bigger program on Raw.
I absolutely hope so. And this is where I have to ask the question. We saw last week RK Bro get the tag titles. They beat out, Chad Gable, Otis, and of course, Seth Rollins and KO lose in a surprising loss. A lot of the fans thought that they would win. I thought they would win. But what do you think is next for Seth Rollins? Because a lot of people are questioning his WrestleMania status. Is he wrestling? Is he not wrestling? Is he in the main event? Is he in a singles match? Is he not even in it? Like, what is going on with Seth? Because, man, I am intrigued. I have no idea what's going on, but it's entertaining. Not going to lie.
Yeah, I think he's like they can't really have him off the card, I don't think, because like we've seen him what he's done the last year. It's probably the best run he's been on. So I think they missed out an opportunity. They should have put him in the main event with Brock and Roman. That story in itself, the triple threat, how like 7 years ago, how he just came in, stole the moment, would have made sense. But I think with Austin doing this thing where he's like not even showing up and accepting it, they did it in a promo package. Maybe Cody returns and they do one-on-one. So I think that would be interesting. Like if Cody comes back, that would be the perfect big match for Seth at WrestleMania.
Would you have Cody win that?
I think you would have to, unfortunately, but Seth's gonna take one for the team, it looks like. And yeah, give Cody the one match, and then when they go back at Backlash, maybe Seth gets a win on them, and they do a long feud out of it. But if Cody's coming back, coming from AEW, I think they would have to just give him the one big win at WrestleMania.
I was also going to say, do you see we saw AJ turn face finally. Do you see Seth Rollins turning face at some point? And if you do, when does that lead to a world title?
Oh man, this is I think it would probably be like a few months from now. Like they haven't had him really involved in that, but I think SummerSlam would be a nice way to capitalize on it because they have two big events there in July. They're doing the Money in the Bank in the stadium they had SummerSlam in last year, and then later that month, I think they pushed up SummerSlam, so they got to like sell out two stadiums in a month time. So I think that's what they'll probably save it for.
Yeah. Also, I guess I didn't mean to maybe say it like that. Out of the two, out of KO and Seth, who's the guy to get the title first? Because to me they both had similar paths as of late. They, as much as they've been marketed and promoted on TV, they haven't been sniffing the WWE title or the Universal title. I know KO the last time was against Roman, and of course, in that hilarious last man standing match where the ref screwed up there, that was hilarious. And then you had Seth take on Roman, and he couldn't even win. It was by DQ. So I guess that's where I was going. Do you see maybe Seth or KO by the end of 22 being a champion, or do you think they're just gonna go with the pillars like Drew and Roman moving forward for a long time?
Actually, now that I think about it, maybe they might go with Seth because I know, like, if Roman and The Rock end up wrestling next year at Mania, it doesn't really have to be for a title. So maybe Roman wins both titles at Mania, And then that storyline with Seth. Seth wins Money in the Bank after Roman probably vacates. Maybe someone else wins a WWE title. And then Seth just goes in and ends the longest reigning title reign in the last like 20 years. Goes in and beats Roman for the title and ends his reign and just laughs his way to the next night. I think that would be a good way to maybe turn Seth face and keep Roman heel and keep his program with The Rock without the title on the line.
Yeah, dude, that would be insane. So The Rock and Roman, it looks like they postponed it a year later. I think next year is going to be the big match between Roman and The Rock. In terms of this year, though, man, I know Brock Lesnar, he's got a lot of pressure. He's had a lot of pressure since January. He's been on it almost every single week. He's the top babyface. Never thought I'd be saying that. But, what do you expect from Brock after WrestleMania? Do you expect him to maybe call it quits? Do you see him doing his rare appearances as he always does? Or do you think this is it? Because they're calling this the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Is this where Brock Lesnar puts maybe Roman over and calls it a career, or is that a stupid question because it's Brock?
No, I think Brock's probably gonna just scale it down a little bit. Like they've had him working pretty much full time since August, which is crazy. Like all the dates he's been working, he's on every single Raw. Then he's doing double duty, going on SmackDown, doing the pay-per-views. So I hope they just scale it down a bit, keep him an attraction. So maybe Roman wins, and you can have Brock take a month off and then come back. And whenever Bobby Lashley's healed and medically cleared, you can pick up that feud again. Uh, Walter coming in, maybe if he comes up from NXT, that'd be another good one down the road. But I'd like to keep Brock out for a month, make him return near like June when programming starts picking up for SummerSlam, and you can have Brock and Bobby Lashley start that big feud again on in a stadium show.
Yeah, that feud is definitely not done. Just the way that he went out at the Chamber, we know that that's cooking. That's coming, I think, at SummerSlam maybe. But yeah, that dude, it's going to be interesting. But man, what about that AEW pay per view? Holy shit, that was great, eh?
Yeah, we got a lot of debuts there.
Oh, way too many.
Eric Redbeard, pre-show.
You gotta love Eric Redbeard.
Oh,
gotta love him. Which match do you stud out, man? Because there were so many good ones. I love Jericho and Kingston. To me, that was insane. And of course, I loved Adam Cole and Adam Page. I thought Hangman was great. Adam Cole, we were talking about it, 2 months ago? This guy goes to AEW and he's doing nothing. And there you go. He's in the main event. Comes up short, but is it safe to say that Adam Cole is going to become the AEW champion relatively soon?
Yeah, I like that match. It was pretty good, and like I thought Adam Cole actually should have won it. The way they were going on in that match, just the false finishes, I actually thought, you know what, Adam Cole's gonna win it here. It makes sense because they're kind of like teasing something there with the Young Bucks and Red Dragon, so it's like the Undisputed Era is forming again. He's closer with those guys than the Young Bucks. They're kind of like telling the Young Bucks if they're involved with Hangman Page, then they're not going to be a part of it. So there's some friction there, and they're not all on the same page. So I think it makes sense if Adam Cole wins a title eventually, and maybe at Double or Nothing, Kenny Omega comes back as a babyface, and you do Kenny Omega versus the new champ, Adam Cole. So I was actually surprised they didn't do that, but I think it's eventually going to come. If it's not Double or Nothing, whenever Kenny Omega comes back, maybe even it's All Out, I think we'll see Adam Cole and Kenny go at it.
Well, I know we even saw at the pay-per-view two former WWE boys going at it, John Moxley, Bryan Danielson. What did you think of that match? Because it was a little, for me, I know maybe it wasn't best placed on the card, but it wasn't as good, I think, as it was hyped, because leading up to it every week, they teased that beating the shit out of each other on AEW. But what were your thoughts on that match? Do you think Moxley winning was the right call here? Because I think if Bryan Danielson won, you could still kind of elevate the feud, but it looks like they're going to be a tag team now, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I think it was. I think you're right there. It was like not placed the best position there. Like I think it followed the CM Punk and MJF match, so right there, I think that kind of didn't do it any justice. But I think it was an okay match. Like it was solid. Moxley, I think, needed to win because just to make him look stronger. Brian Danielson, since coming in, just beating the shit out of everybody. So I think he's okay for now. And then William Regal coming out, nice little surprise, smacking the shit out of
Outstanding.
both of them. So I think this could be a good team with Regal. Maybe someone else joins them down the line. But right now, I like to see where this goes. Maybe when they eventually bring out the 6-man tag titles that they've been talking about for probably the better part of a year, I think whoever joins them would be make perfect sense there because you got those guys, you got Pac, Pentagon, and Eric Redbeard as a team, Andrade and Private Party. So there's a lot of teams there that can go for that 6-man title.
How funny would it be if Miro joins Moxley and
Oh
call
man,
it
that'd be
Team
jokes.
WWE? That would be freaking hilarious, man. With William Regal as the manager. But yeah, when Regal came out, to me that was probably one of the bigger surprises of any person that's come into AEW. Just what he meant to NXT, and then all of a sudden you hear his music in AEW. It's like, oh my god, anybody can go there. To me, Adam Cole was not surprising, obviously, with the friction with his contract. Punk was rumored to go there since they started. And, Keith Lee was another guy that I knew was probably going to go there. But how about Jeff frickin' Hardy, man? The guy is now there. He's with Matt Hardy now. What did you think about his return? What was it, last night? And what do you see with them moving forward? Are we finally going to get that Young Bucks versus the Hardy Boys ladder match that we've all been praising and waiting for?
Oh, I think it's coming. I think I like how they had the theme song too from the Hardy Boys, which I didn't even know it's apparently free public domain. So
Yeah,
all
dude, I
those
got
years that
goosebumps.
TNA could have capitalized on this, they didn't. But AEW found something like that. It was kind of surreal because like you're so used to hearing it in WWE, and then all of a sudden, wait, what the hell? This is AEW, and the Hardy Boys theme's playing. So I think it was great. I saw some videos online that people took about for when they taped Rampage for Friday. They got their own little entrance video even too. They look exactly the same as they did before, same attire. So nice little rejuvenated Hardy Boys run in AEW against the Young Bucks. Can't wait for that. But I think they can't miss. So I think they got to do Jeff Hardy versus CM Punk as soon as possible. Double or nothing in May. I think that would be the perfect rekindle that feud. Even if Jeff Hardy's face heel, if CM Punk turns heel, do you think they got to do that sooner rather than later?
Absolutely. I was just going to bring that up too, because do you remember the promo? I think it was 2 weeks ago. They were kind of hinting at a CM Punk heel turn and MJF face turn, but obviously that was just great acting. But I think it's intriguing to turn maybe CM Punk heel at this stage. I know he just beat MJF, and now he said he has his eyes set on the AEW title. I don't know if that's realistic at this moment, but if there is a path to maybe get to that point for CM Punk, you maybe turn him heel, or maybe Jeff Hardy's the heel. It doesn't really matter at that point. But yeah, this would be a perfect match made in heaven. 2009, when they did it, it was one of the better programs of the year, and it was a very short feud too. It was maybe just maybe over a month, but the storytelling, the end result of CM Punk beating Jeff and Jeff leaving the company, it was just, there's a lot of animosity probably there that they can build off of, and I think that would absolutely be unbelievable, especially with the extreme stipulation that we all know they would add.
Oh yeah, for sure. And maybe CM Punk will go back to his old ways there, making fun of Jeffrey Nero, and then just punch him. Jeff the last few weeks just deck him. But I think
That would be great.
another surprise there. One of the guys from that group Hit Row, Swerve Strickland, made his debut too. Another former NXT guy, was on the main roster for like 2 weeks, and he was pretty over. I was actually surprised at that. Like, I know he's a guy that has some buzz there, but he went in there, it looked like they got a big star on their hands. You think WWE is going to probably regret getting rid of him off their roster?
Absolutely. And dude, you know why he got over? Because the power of the internet is real in AEW. For AEW, it doesn't matter about the name. It really doesn't. If they know who you are and they know where you came from, they're going to cheer the shit out of you. So I'm very happy that he got that buzz and he got that reaction because let's face it, man. If he was in NXT or in WWE, let's say he went to the Royal Rumble, no one would give a shit. So seeing him get that pop and get that reaction was just probably heartwarming for him. And it's a perfect fit. And like, look, for example, Keith Lee, maybe in WWE, obviously he was getting his legs under him. He was starting to become a little more well known, at least on the main roster. But man, when he went over to AEW, it was like the biggest deal. He got the biggest reaction. It was just must see. So that's the difference, man, between AEW fans and WWE fans. AEW fans are hardcore wrestling fans. Like, think about ECW back in the day. Like, that to me is what the AEW fans are now. So I think AEW will have the better fan base. I'm not going to say that, the WWE fan base, they're all fake. They're not really committed. It's just AEW fans, man, they're a little bit more hardcore. They follow wrestling passionately. They know exactly where they come from, the indie scenes, ROH, TNA, all those companies, they're following it. They know what their path is. And seeing Strickland get that reaction, dude, that was unreal. Because, man, let's be honest. I know you and I agree. He wouldn't have got that with WWE.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the way the way he was presented in WWE was like, man, I saw like other videos, because then I go look online, like, okay, I want to see the story there. Like MLW, like you see some of the promos there. Like this guy was over a lot, and then goes to WWE, wins the North American title, and never really capitalized on that. Like if they presented him the way that AEW did on SmackDown, man, this guy would probably be one of their big names right now that everyone's talking about, like one of their top new young signings. So I think AEW got a gem there, and it's going to be interesting now who he feuds with. It looks like Tony Nese is the first one who has been floundering around there, but eventually I'd like to see him maybe go at it with Adam Cole or some of those guys there in the main event scene.
Yeah, dude, honestly, we've been talking a lot about how AEW has a lot of guys. And if they can, in any way, shape, or form, try and build a path for all of these guys that are internet friendly and internet well known, then the buzz will always be there in AEW. I know, like, I saw an article not too long ago, guys like Chris Jericho, guys like maybe even I saw Kenny, which to me is ridiculous, saying that they're not getting the rub and the attention that they kind of deserve. And let's be honest, man. Another guy that is kind of, I know he's with Sting, but Darby Allin a couple months ago had the buzz that he just flat out doesn't have now. So there's going to be a lot of guys that have their moments. I really hope Strickland gets his moment. I hope Tony Nese gets his moment. But specifically, man, I really want Andrade to get his moment because he's still a guy that I think he has a little more to offer. Miro had his run as the TNT champion. He had that great match with Cody Rhodes back. I think this was late 2021. I think Tony Nese specifically, and of course now Buddy Murphy going now to AEW as well. I think these guys they need at some point. Yeah, see, there's just so many guys that are going there. I think those type of guys, they need to have their moments sooner rather than later. But right now, Tony Khan's doing a great job balancing out a lot of these guys because, again, there's only so much TV time. I think they got to expand it maybe a little more. I know there's already a lot of shows for AEW, but I think maybe if you add one more, that can maybe balance out the talent and the what's the word? The exposure. I think if you can get a lot of these guys exposed, and only the fan base will grow and the growth of the company will grow. So if AEW wants to get on WWE's level, I think they need to add a couple more shows, make these guys a little more relevant. But other than that, man, they're rolling because to me, I don't know. I don't really say this often, Aulino. Me and you used to talk about pay-per-view ratings and all that stuff back in the day. But to me, man, the pay-per-view was almost perfect. There was not a lot of flaws in it. I want to maybe give it an 8.5, 9 out of 10. The last pay-per-view I gave that was quite some time ago. So AEW, they're on the right direction. Now getting Jeff Hardy, a lot of intriguing decisions with Punk. God damn, since you said that, that's just been in my head now. So I want to see that. But other than that, man, AEW, they're doing a hell of a job.
Yeah, I agree there. Jeff Hardy coming in looks happier now. He doesn't have to work like live events in the middle of the nowhere and do like 10,000 swanton bombs. Can just work one night a week, recover his body. I think we'll see the best out of Jeff Hardy now. I think this is a perfect situation for him. But on that note, Chris, we're going to sign off here. Is there anything else you want to touch on in the ring here?
Nah, man. The only thing I want to kind of bring up to you is what is going to happen, you think, with Bray Wyatt? Because I saw he's going to be at that Legends show. I think it's tomorrow night. He's going to be at that Legends show, MSG. I'm pretty sure. Aulino, if you don't know what I'm talking about, search it up. But yeah, my biggest question, because he's been linked to AEW for a long time, and I just want to ask you, now that Eric Redbeard is there, is it safe to say that maybe we're going to get Bray Wyatt in AEW, or do you think he maybe takes a year off, maybe gets into acting? Because, man, I'm intrigued. I really don't know with Bray Wyatt at this point.
Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't like right away. As soon as the 90 days was up, I thought for sure AEW would bring him in, but like he does seem committed, I guess, to maybe trying with stuff in Hollywood and all that, but maybe WWE, like they're gonna look at all the buzz Jeff Hardy's getting, and maybe they're gonna be like, you know what? Let's bring Bray Wyatt back. Cooler heads prevail. Let's bring him in on a new deal. Let's find something creative for him to come back with. But I think he's got a good situation here. I think WWE is probably going to call him back, and AEW is always going to be there. Impact's there, so I think he's not going to have too many sleepless nights, like looking for a suitor. So I think eventually, when he decides to return to the ring, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited regardless, because like, to me, it just makes sense with Redbeard now. If you can imagine the Wyatt family, the Hardys there, the Young Bucks, like, holy shit, that's
Confused with the
outstanding
House of
stuff,
Black
man.
there.
The House of Black too. Oh my god, man, so many great tag teams, just ridiculous. That would have to happen, and of course, I know, like, it's crazy to say because R.I.P. to Luke Harper, but do you think Tony Khan has reached out and said, maybe we should bring the Wyatt family for Luke Harper, or do you think that's kind of wrong to do?
Oh, I think with the Dark Order there, like I'm surprised. Like Braun Strowman, I know he's starting like his promotion and stuff, but like eventually, like there's only so far that can go. So Braun Strowman comes in too. Him, Redbeard, Bray Wyatt take over the Dark Order. I think that would be something they should do. I think that would be huge because Luke Harper, the leader of the Dark Order, connection to all three of those guys. I think it would be fitting to bring those guys in and take over the faction.
Yeah, dude, if that were to happen, that would just remind me of 2013 all over again. That would give me goosebumps. So that, to me, I think that would be the best option, but you never know with Bray. He hasn't signed with anyone yet, and like you said, after the 90-day, I thought for sure he was going to AEW, but maybe he's playing his cards. Maybe he's contacting Vince. We have no idea, but yeah, man, that's the only question I kind of had left, because Bray Wyatt always intrigues me, because to me, he was looked at one point as the hottest free agent, and then there were guys like Adam Cole who were free agents, and the rest of the pack. But yeah, Bray Wyatt's definitely interesting with that Fiend character, but it seems like that might be dead now. So we got to wait and see. But yeah, man, that's the last question I have with wrestling.
Oh man, imagine Seth. He needs an opponent. Bray Wyatt comes back as a Fiend. WrestleMania. That'd be joke.
2 years too late, but yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, on that note, that's episode 168. We talked about some WWE, AEW, Auston Matthews. Anthony Pagniello was missing this week. Hopefully, we'll hear from him next week and see his thoughts on Matthews, and we'll hopefully get some more clarity on the NBA MVP race. So stick around for that. That's episode 168. We're signing off.